then the next thing I'm going to do is I'll probably go ahead and check my cyanuric acid, and that test is basically, it's testing the levels of your cyanuric acid in there. And the reason you put that in, and it'll be one of the last things that you do, because there's a slight chemical reaction that might affect your pH, or your it'll affect, I think, your alkalinity just a touch, but on a very, very small scale. But it'll be one of the last things you do, because it's actually considered like a sunscreen for the chlorine. So it's probably going to protect your chlorine that's being produced or added in the most. And so on my pool, since it's a saltwater pool, I know it's different for saltwater pools compared to chlorine pools, and I'll explain the reasoning. But the saltwater range is I'm shooting for, I believe, 30 to 60 parts per million, when a regular chlorine pool is probably 20 to 40. And the reason is because a saltwater chlorinator is producing a small amount of chlorine over a longer period of time, a day or two, especially starting out. And so if you're running it during the day, the chlorine that's being created, if you don't have enough cyanuric acid in it to help really protect that chlorine that's being produced, then the sun's basically baking that chlorine off, and it's just burning it out, so just as quick as it's making it. So you're not doing any good for yourself by increasing your free available chlorine in the pool, which we'll test last. So I'll do the cyanuric acid test next, and I'll show you how to do that. But to explain it real quick is I've already put in 7 milliliters of water in this little vial, and then I'm going to put another 7 to go up to this 14 milliliter mark of this cyanuric acid reagent, and then I will mix it for 30 seconds like this by swirling it real good, and then I'll slowly drip this cloudy mixture, which it should be cloudy if it has any of the cyanuric acid in there. If there's no cyanuric acid, then it won't be cloudy at all. But I'll just drip it in here, and there's a little black dot in the bottom of this vial. And as soon as I can no longer see that black dot, after dripping this mixture in there, the moment I stop being able to see the black dot in the bottom, I'll stop dripping, and I'll look at my line and see what part per million I am at, and that will tell me my current level. So I put 4 pounds of cyanuric acid in my 15,000 gallon pool the other day, and it had initially gotten me up to 30 ppm after about 24 hours or so, maybe a little bit less of time mixing. And this stuff's historically slow at mixing, so keep that in mind. And then but now it's been thoroughly mixed, so I'm going to recheck it again and see if it's gotten any thicker. I think I might be up to 40 potentially, but for sure I'll be up to 30, a solid 30, and then I'll know I can add probably like 4 more pounds to mix in to get up to my 60 ppm level. So enjoy the next clip. I'll time lapse it and then I'll recap it. Alright everybody, so I hope you could see that in the camera lens on that time lapse. I'll show it to you again real quick. So basically I got to 50 ppm on my indicator, and before I really for sure couldn't see that black dot anymore. I could have made an argument for 60 ppm at that level when I stopped being able to see the black dot in the bottom. So really I don't need to add any more cyanuric acid, which is nice, because I was thinking I was going to have to buy some more of this reagent here, because you really only get 4 tests out of a 22 milliliter. Really probably not even that, it's just 22, yeah. You only get 3 tests out of it, because you have to put 7 milliliters every time you do a test. So I'm going to call that good, And so I'll recheck it now, and I'm about to show you my free available chlorine test, and that's the last one. But basically, once you get your levels where they need to be, or essentially where they need to be, then you don't have to do these tests, you know, very often. You're just going to use your little test strips a couple times a week, just to make sure nothing's getting out of whack. It should pretty much stay good. so I'm up to 50 ppm, which is probably good enough for me. I might add just a little bit of cyanuric acid. And just to kind of give you a quick idea about the adding of the cyanuric acid, most of your other chemicals can be slowly poured in front of the return jet. This is one that you would probably want to get like some kind of a, I forget what they call them, like a little sock type net that they make for putting slow release, hard to dissolve chemicals in. And so that way they can slowly mix in over time. Because if you just pour them in, they won't dissolve very quickly, and then if they sit on your liner, it can melt it or wrinkle it or cause it to you know, deteriorate and break down quicker. Or you can use a tube sock, an old tube sock, and just measure it out and pour it in. So that's what I did, and you just kind of squeeze on it periodically as it's getting wet and stuff like that. So I think that's all I needed to say on the cyanuric acid, but it takes longer to dissolve, is my point, and you have to be careful with it. So you can check out some other videos on that, or just drop a question in the comment and I can give you a little bit more insight into that.